But you're doing the introduction, right?
Yo, what's going on? This is the youngest in charge, Leon Slater, and you're listening to the Sports Jedi Network. You get me?
You're watching Jedi Sports Network with Kev.
I'm Tom Hannafin from TNA Wrestling. You're watching the Jedi Sports Network.
Tune in to Heel of the Ring podcast on the Sports Jedi Network channel. May the sports be with you.
What's up, Kevin? It's me, Myles Borne. I just wanted to come on here real quick and say thank you for your support. I really appreciate it, and the fact that you're there every Tuesday really means a lot to me.
Hey guys, this is Elena Black, and you are watching Sports Jedi Network.
This is AJ Francis, and you're with Sports Jedi Network.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome here on a Tuesday night to the Padawan Awakening. Salute everyone here. It's your NXT recap with your guys, the one and only Dos Evil and BX Sports Jedi Kev. We got a lot to talk about, but let me, of course, say my pleasantries to my partner in crime, Dos Evil, or Evil Dos, whoever part of the upside down world you're in. I always love saying that, but how are you, Mr. Lippman?
I'm good. How's everything going?
I'm doing all right. I'm excited of this NXT program that just went off the air, and I'm ready to break into it and all that. But first, before we get on to all that stuff, we are sponsored here again by Dude Wipes. Dude Wipes, stay fresh, stay match ready. Dude Wipes and the Sports Jedi Network. We're wiping out all the competition. We have a promo code on our video description that saves 20% off your Dude Wipes orders. And, of course, powered by Blackout Coffee. Stand up, wake up, never back down. Go to blackoutcoffee.com. Use my promo code SportsJedi20 and save 20% off all your products from Blackout Coffee and G Fuel Energy. G Fuel Energy, all their products from all different tubs, energy drinks. Use PGH Chris and save on that. So let's get right into it, Mr. Lippman. Where would you like to start? And I'm in your hands, Capitan. Navigate the ship.
I'm going to count all the money from those sponsorships. Woohoo! And I'm looking forward to listening to the Heel of the Ring podcast right here on the Sports Jedi Network.
Is Jedi monies, not human monies.
Oh, is that like Elon Musk's new X money after he gave up on another cryptocurrency? He's going to come up with a totally legit money? Okay, that's good. It's not human monies, in other words. All right,
no,
that's
not
fine.
Human monies.
Listen, so NXT opens up, and we are expecting to hear from Cruz Montana, or at least Tony D, but instead we get future endeavored in the form of somebody nobody's been asking for. Occasionally people have been asking about, like, where is he, or when did he die, and how did I miss the announcement? Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller comes in. What do you think about, were you shocked or appalled or both?
No, I'm shocked that I'm actually I'm the only one who's gonna say here that I'm a Grayson Holic fan. I'm I'm actually the only one. Maybe I'm a huge Grayson Waller fan, and I tell you why, because I went toe to toe with him, and he never got to rip my sign, and I'm the only one that was so quick enough on the trigger on the NXT house shows. You know, he'll go around, break people's signs, and he'll zing people. I survived the Grayson Waller experiment, or the zinging, so I could. That's why I earned his respect. So I like Grayson Waller. Look, I was very happy to see Waller. I want to talk more about the pipe bomb. I didn't expect him to be on this show. I didn't even expect him to even grab the microphone, and I didn't even expect what the hell he said on that microphone. There was a lot of truth to it, and it felt like he got a boulder off his chest.
Yeah. I mean, listen, he cuts a promo. Basically talking about his career, his history with NXT, how he went up to the main roster 6 weeks after he broke his leg on the announce table. And, listen, if you did a shot every time he said the word lad, you probably would have enjoyed this promo either a whole lot more or a whole lot less. Depending on what your constitution is. he spent a good part of the beginning part of the promo cutting a promo basically burying Austin Theory, who last I checked is not on the NXT roster. He then basically, in very gallows humor, it took a while for me to figure out because honestly I'd forgotten what he'd been doing, but basically talking about that he's been pretending to be at a funeral dressed in black all year, which in hindsight, a little bit off color there. I mean, and talking about, but it's a new day, obviously criticizing his time as Big G with the New Day, and saying how his career has been embarrassing. With respect, Grayson, Austin's doing okay. Can he cut a promo? Not so much, but does he have everything else? Yeah. The New Day was a pretty good opportunity for you. I'm not saying you were the right fit, but it was a chance. They were, it's like putting someone with the bloodline, and you may become the next Jacob Fatu, or you might be Lance Anoa'i. I don't know. You were Lance Anoa'i. Sorry. He did. First of all, he said that he wanted to. Okay, here's what I think everyone agrees on. He talked about that he looks in the roster, and 10% of them are ready for the main roster, and they're all women. The women are lapping the guys. That the men's division is terrible, and that it's soft. I actually think the men's division has come a long way since the reset. I know that some people are sort of being dragged to that position, or maybe don't even feel that way just yet. But I think that they've made a lot of strides with people like Tristan Angels and Shiloh's development, and Cam Hendrix being on TV more. And there's others as well. Obviously, the addition of Cruz Montana, formerly Mike Santana, your guy, a favorite of a lot of the folks on this network, a favorite of a lot of people, period. He said that, the men look great, lots of talent, but they can't do anything. And then he said, the indie people, you can do things that nobody else can do. Nobody's ever seen it. Wow, they're so great. He loves indie wrestlers. He did come from indie wrestling. As I learned the last time I criticized Grayson Waller on X, my friend Shaza McKenzie sort of criticized me back in private, of course, because we're friends, because she actually, spent some time training him. Said the Australian wrestling community is tight. Got it. It's your homie. I understand. And it's not his in-rings. I just find him to be, he's got a punchable face, but I think he is what they used to call X-Pac heat. I don't think it's like you want to see him get beat. You just don't want to see him at all. But he also said that once you give the indie talent the mic, nothing comes out because they're all charisma vacuums. Well, Grayson, you're a charisma vacuum too. You're not funny. You think you're funny. The Grayson Waller effect, the only effect of the Grayson Waller effect is to affect people to change the channel. So, hush, Grayson Waller. He spoke some truth. He spoke a lot. He spoke some exaggerations, a lot of exaggerations. He's still Grayson Waller. Right message, perhaps. Wrong messenger. Being demoted is never a good thing. Yeah, sure. He's trying to save his spot and save his job by pretending he's not, but he still sucks. And if this is the greatest promo we ever cut, and it probably will be, it's probably all downhill from here. So I said my piece. Probably not particularly popular, or maybe it is. I don't know. Obviously, it's not going to be popular with you because you like him because you were actually quicker than he was with a sign. Now you shouldn't be. He's a boxer. He should have quicker hands than you.
I'll say this. I'll say this with Grayson Waller. I not just because I went toe to toe and I saw him in the house show and interacted with Grayson Waller many times. I seen him. I was in the arena. I had the privilege and honor to watch him uprise in the NXT 2.0, being in there week in, week out. His in-ring performance, the way he was quick on his feet, a very good worker in ring. I personally think he's good on the microphone. He could zing people in a heartbeat and get back. He talks much better than any of the men on the roster in the main roster currently right now. You put a microphone, and no disrespect, Javon Evans. You put a microphone. You put a lineup of Javon Evans, many others on Carmelo Hayes, and others, And Grayson Waller, he'll eat their lunch just coming out without no scripted, no Hollywood writer, no producers from WWE giving him a script. Here's the talk. Just a quick talking point. Go out there and cut promos. Grayson Waller could do it better than those gentlemen. No, and they're being pushed right now in the main roster. But here's the thing: when it comes to Grayson Waller, this is an opportunity here to go back down to NXT, and he's going to have a big following because there is a big Grayson Waller hive in NXT. I don't know if some of those fans still go there. That when I went, I see a few of them sprinkle here and there. The guy with the green hat is one of those Grayson Waller hives. Hopefully, it probably brings back some of the old NXT goers that the faithfuls to start watching Grayson Waller. But when I told you last week, it felt last week's episode. They're trying to revamp the men's division strong, and you know what? Now you got some good bodies. You're telling me a match for Cruz Montana to wrestle Grayson Waller. Now it got a guy who's been around and knows how to work the main roster, television time to help Mike get into his first feud to get into the. And I'm gonna call him Mike still because until I'm gonna get used to it. And gets used to the WWE television, the work ethic.
We're professionals here. We've got to call him by his.
Well, by the way, I understand this. Look, if you know me, I'm a big fan of Mike Santana. We're pretty much neighbors here in the Central Florida. The formerly known wrestler is Mike Santana. But and you know what? We're so and you see my avatar pictures on all the Instagrams are with me and Mike taking pictures together. I interviewed him a couple times. Big fan of him. I actually flew to Slammiversary, New York, to watch him. I love the fact that he took my last name and his first name. Thank you. You know, that's how much of good friends we are. Yeah, he took my last name, Cruz.
That's a guy you should be a fan of. That's a good reason. Not because the guy can grab your sign.
Here we go. That's my guy. Let's go. And he's from the Bronx.
Yeah, that is not Australia.
I mean, no.
Same color scheme, but not Australia.
Not Australia. No, there's nothing done under here.
Okay, that's good. That's another shout out to Do Wipes. So, all right. So,
but yes, let's get back on this crazy train.
Sure. So we have our first on-air disagreement. I think Grayson Waller remains a zero. You think he's a hero. Fine. We'll go on with the show. And
I think it's going to work, Mr. Lippman. No, not that he's my hero. I think it's going to work. But
I think it's going to work.
I'm pessimistic. I've got a little optimism. I'm optimistic. I mean, that it's going to work. Yeah, I mean, you're the pessimist. Yeah.
I mean, I'm optimistic that there's going to be a fatal three-way, and Grayson Waller's going to eat the pin like he always should. Or that he's going to get screwed out of the win by Cruz Santana. No, I'm gonna stick with he's gonna eat the pin like he always does. All right. Anyway, I mean he'll complain. I'm saying. So we see Myles, Borne, and Tavion Heights in the background, and yes, my recollection of the backward stipulation is in fact correct because they made it crystal clear that yes, we were not all crazy when we heard that Myles Borne has to successfully defend the North American Championship in order for Myles Borne and Tavion Heights to get a title shot against the NXT champions next week, which still doesn't make any sense to me. And you would think that would lead to a dissension angle between Myles Borne and Tavion. Not that we haven't been there before. So in any event, right now they're on the same page. They're all excited about it. Tavion's got his back. Talk about charisma vacuums. These guys got nothing. Tavion, when left to his own devices, when they let him go, when they were letting him be a heel for 2 weeks, interesting guy. Has a personality. Frankly, reminds me a lot of Cruz Montana when he's getting all attitudey. I liked it. I like it. Now he's back to a face, and now he's boring as paint with Myles Borne, who's also boring as paint. And then Mason Rook, who needs a coat of paint, comes in looking like the guy who picks up the trash or comes to your door and says, I'm the maintenance guy they sent to repair your HVAC. I'm like, I don't think so. I'll wait for the next guy.
He reminded me of Dukes the Dumpster Drosy back in the early days.
Well, I'm not sure you
Look
should
it up, WWE
the
fans.
dumpster Drozy in these days because didn't he get arrested for like child porn and shit?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think he did. He's in Florida, so I mean, it's I think
it's
it's
an
like the
haven.
number 4 top thing to do down there. After golf, getting bit by alligators, shooting people, and then child porn. And dying. It's a lot of old people.
Thank you. Thanks.
Right. Well, keeps you busy. You got to build lots of things, new things. There's always stuff you do. Anyway, Mason Rook is out there, and boy, he wants to get his hand on Cam Hendrix, and he's got to do it tonight. And they're like, "Dude, stay out of it." And Tavion's like, "I'll make sure he stays out of it." And Mason Rook is, "Oh yeah, you're going to?" And Tavion Heights is like, "Yeah, I'm going to. You're the plumber, right?"
That's Moxley, by the way.
Moxley looks more real than this guy by a lot. You can say a lot of things about Moxley and they be mostly true, but you can't say he doesn't look like a wrestler. You're allowed to talk.
I got it. You know what? Mama said you got nothing else to say. Don't say nothing at all.
All right.
Moxley.
Okay.
No, but I want to let me go back around this. When you talked up when you mentioned about if they were to win, if for the tag team, in order to get a tag team title match, Myles has to get a singles the pin. It kind of was a trend tonight on NXT too. We'll talk about that in a little bit because they did that stipulation for another match for next week. I'm like, what? Like I had a little bit of a head scratch. Like, why? What? It's like the title eliminator as well. It just, what are we doing? What is this trope that we have now in professional wrestling where you have to do this in order to that? I mean, gee, it doesn't make sense. It's starting to like, okay, not even for wrestling's sakes. Like what? Like it just, to me, it boggled my mind. For Mason Rook coming out there, interfere in the match, neither one of those three gave you any excitement. Like I actually went to go get a bottle of water. I just like, I really not interested in what you guys got to say. And we knew the commercial was coming, so I had an extra time to go. If I wanted to make a sandwich, I could have, but I just like forget it. It wasn't something that it wasn't captivating me must see. But I understand what's gonna happen. How is that gonna lead into the match? Is Tavion Heights gonna turn on his partner? Are they going to get that number 1 contendership match next week against the tag team champion? So that was more, at least it kept you hooked to find out what the hell is next. What's the next step in that storyline for that match?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I mean that's right. Of course, me, I'm, first of all, I want Myles Borne to lose the title, so I want Tavion to be upset with Myles, and that's all the interesting stuff. And and then Mason can come in and do the beatdown interference afterwards, or maybe start something with Tavion as well, or demand a title match against the new champion Cam Hendrix. But I mean, obviously that didn't happen, but we'll get there anyway. Listen, for all my bitching and moaning, the show got materially better immediately. And listen, I know I buried Grayson Waller, but I mean, part of his promo, his promo was interesting, and it wasn't boring. It was just Grayson Waller, but it's not like I didn't enjoy the words and listen to it. But Lizzy Rain against Izzy Dame, accompanied by Nico. They're still using the culling intro, which was a little bit interesting to me. But listen, this was a very good match. Gave it a lot of time. I mean, I feel like this was like almost a 20-minute match. Hard hitting, a lot of times when you were pretty sure that Izzy was going to come up with the win. Only once really because of Nico. Plenty of times where I thought that Lizzy was going to come up with the win. What ultimately happened is that Nico did get involved. Well, he tried to get involved. He was just a distraction, but it was a double distraction because while he was distracting the ref and Lizzy, Izzy took advantage, hit an offensive move on Lizzy, but she herself was distracted when she saw a hooded man who was Sean Spears rise from like a staff position, behind commentary near the camera people, like he was part of the crew. with a chair, and it's Sean Spears who, took Nico by surprise, and Nico sort of cowered away in fear because he wanted to hit by a chair, and that distraction allowed Lizzy Rain to hit the Thunderstruck, not the Thunderbreaker. That's somebody else's finisher tonight. The Thunderstruck, which she hit from a strange angle, still a very effective move, and it's nice to know she could hit it from different angles on Izzy Dame, who I guess is sort of protected in the loss. I'm a big Izzy Dame fan, but she seems to be, like the Dolph Ziggler. She takes a lot of losses. But Lizzy, who's a new hot thing there, and people seem to like her, gets the win. Again, very good match, very competitive. And Lizzy picks up the win. The new hot young import from Britain and the indie scene gets a win over an NIL blonde bombshell. So I'm sure everyone is happy about that.
Izzy Rain, Izzy. I got dizzy on those names on there. But no, this is why they gave them the time they gave them. Both ladies have great chemistry with each other. You had a "This is awesome" chants from the crowd. They were very into it. The back and forth, the near four finishes, the story they told there at the end where Nico Vance, we knew Nico was going to be some kind of a influence in this match, and to have Sean Spears come out with the chair and cause that. The only thing that I got out of it was like, oh, are we still continuing the Sean Spears rivalry with this group? Like he's
yes,
not done with it. So they're really letting it go longer. Okay, hopefully we get a blow-off match, but what's the end game? Is Sean Spears recruiting a female counterpart to up against Izzy? I don't know. And where does it lead now to Lizzy Rain? Does she goes now after the women's North American title and Zarya? We saw that already. Or does she have hopes for the world title picture? Or the speed? Because Stone, we'll find out later on what Stone thinks about the speed title. But that's also something in the works. Interesting enough, I hope that these two ladies move on because they had a really good match here. Like you said, they gave them plenty of time to tell their story, to get their stuff in. Good chemistry. I don't know if they could run it back and get the same magic again. So hopefully they don't put these ladies in the ring for quite some weeks later down the road for another storyline. Bravo that's a finish off match there. Again, we got more questions than answers because where do they go next? Hopefully not rerunning it back.
Well, bravo to commentary, because one of the funniest thing was Vic going to Booker T earlier. What's the over-under on you getting names wrong? 4.5? And Book's like, no, I got this. And he only messed up their names once. So Booker wins again. 6-time champion as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, that's exactly right. And then why am I pointing to my non-watch right now? You don't know why, do you? Because we first see Cruz Montana, first day at work, shows up late. Walks in late, still thinks he's the TNA champion, can show up whenever he wants. He's showing up late to work, but he walks into the door.
Typical Puerto Rican.
Glad you said it. I just think it was a entitlement, thinks he's a champion guy, but yep, makes an impression. On the ticker, they show us who the commentators are and who the ring announcer is, and I was very happy to see that Emily Agard was still listed as the interviewer because I haven't seen her in a few weeks, and I was wondering if maybe she was a short-term experiment, but back again she is. So good for that. I like Emily so far, so good.
Were you hoping for Chewy Martinez?
No, oh God, about I'm part of the Chewy Sucks movement. I'm so happy that Rizzo has taken over the interviewer roles on Evolve. I did notice one thing. I don't know the answer to this, but at some point there was a camera angle where you saw Izzy's hand like this, and you could see the top of her hand, and there was blue on it. Now, it's possible that she has tattoos on her hands, but she doesn't.
She does.
Oh, those are tattoos. Okay. All right. I thought they might have been notes, and if that was okay. All right. Never mind. Tattoos, fine. All right. Her leggings.
You know why I said that, Mike? Because I find it unattractive when a woman tattoos her fingers. That's just me. I'm gonna be totally honest. And I noticed I was like, oh, because she's dating one of my second favorite wrestler, Braun Breaker. So I got to see what Braun his taste is. And when I saw the tattoos in the hands, I find that a turn off in any woman. I find that so. Ugh.
I had no idea they were dating, but that's I mean, good for them both. Anyway, again, NXT Love Island Bible study. I'm just glad it's not notes, that she didn't need notes on her palm, that you know, or back of her hand this late into the game. Her leggings, though, the mismatch of them, very Cat in the Hattish.
I didn't like it either.
Okay, good. I'm glad on that. All right, so we see Cruz Montana coming in, and basically he's making a tour of the faces to introduce himself to everyone. The first folks he runs into are Noam Dar and Romeo Moreno, and they're all happy to see each other, and they're speaking in Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish, so you're going to have to handle what they said.
He just congratulated them on winning the World Cup for Spain because they're Spaniards. That's all.
Yeah, well, only one of them's a Spaniard.
I know, but Noam Dar took credit of it too.
I mean, isn't he Scottish?
I know. He just took credit also. He you know.
Okay.
You are what you eat.
All right. Well, the backstory was the Saquon Sugars comes in, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on, guys?" They're like, "Hey, sorry about last week. That's on us. We can run it." Romeo's like, "We can run it back," and Noam's like, "No, we're not running it back. Let's go backwards." And so we're left with Saquon and Cruz is like, "Wasn't I beating your ass last time I was here?" And he's like, "I'm a totally changed person. I'm going to take care of Dark State." And Cruz is like, "Well, why don't you take care of your business, and then we'll see about that." So Quan even has to prove himself to the new guy. So, you know, okay, fair enough. I'm glad that Montana somehow has the same memory as Santana. I don't know how that happens. I don't understand science. I imagine Nikola Tesla was involved some way, some form in doing that transference. But good on Cruz Montana for doing his homework and really going deep cuts on all sorts of NXT lore. But, you know, great.
Cruz didn't use the neuralizer.
No, he didn't use the neuralizer.
He didn't use it. He had on his Ray-Bans instead of taking his glasses off.
Absolutely. So as soon as Cruz wants to walk away, he turns right into Kalani Jordan. Normally a pleasant experience, but Kalani Jordan basically wants to tell him, "Get out of here. Nobody gets opportunities. I'm skipped over. Just run. Don't sign that contract. Get out of here." Cruz is like, "Listen, it's been a long time since you've been TNA Knockouts champion. I don't need to listen to you. I'm not taking orders from you." And she starts going through a little diatribe of lists and complaints. They subtly change directions, and he walks away while she's still talking, which was pretty funny. She turns around. It's typical wrestle crap stuff, but she turns around. She's like, "Oh, great. He ignores me like everyone else. He will fit in after all," or something like that. So
yeah, beautiful.
It was
poor
beautiful.
Kalani. Poor Kalani.
Yes, poor Kalani, because she's married to Carmelo Hayes. Poor Kalani.
Oh, man.
Robert Stone in his office with the Vanity Project, and they address the very odd stipulation and point out how it makes no sense. Why would they have to defend their titles if somebody wins the title? What does the North American Championship have to do with their title, except that Jackson Drake, Heartbreak Drake, he's definitely in line for it, and he's going to get that at some point. So I guess that's what it has to do with it. But they're sort of the not the main event, because Keanu Carver comes in and he's very soft-spoken. He's still looking menacing, and they're like, "Keanu, let's get out of here." Now Micah, she takes a while, and she lets her eyes drink in that fine specimen man, and I'm not sure if she's like looking at rival or I like what I'm seeing here. Either way, interesting. Keanu, stone-faced. And speaking of Stone, he goes over to Stone, who's a little bit trepidatious. I understand. He's had Rick Bocchini, Hammerstone, types of interactions with Keanu in the past. And Keanu's like, "Don't worry. All I want is a match with EK Prosper." And Stone's like, "That's all you want? That's all I want." He goes, "You got it." He goes, "Thank you, Mr. Stone." And they shake hands, and that's it. No disruption, no raised voices. We're getting the third match in that trilogy.
All right. I'm okay with that. Here's the thing. What tamed the beast? Was it Keanu Carver? Or was it Micah Blackwood?
I don't know. I think it's nice. I think Keanu. This is just his new approach that he thought would maybe better help him get what he wants. Maybe he's showing a different side of him for the camera. Maybe Sean and Bloom and everyone told him show a different side of yourself. Whatever it was interesting. And commentary goes, "What's scarier, unhinged Keanu or cold business-like Keanu?" And Booker's like, "I like it. Change it up." So,
All right,
Booker.
So maybe don't be surprised if Micah is the reason. He's probably why he's
Beauty soothes the soul of the savage beast. Could be. But he seemed to be cool, calm, and collected even before he laid eyes on her. But yeah, maybe he saw earlier, and little hearts came into his eye.
the endorphins. He smelled the
Yeah.
endorphins in the air.
Could be. Or maybe he just smelled the creatine that he wanted to borrow. I don't know. Whatever it is, I liked it. I don't mean to pick on it. So our next match was Cam Hendrix versus Myles Borne for the North American Championship. But in true NXT fashion, we can't go straight to the match. We have to go to the always excellent NXT Women's Locker Room Community Theater segment, where Jada Parker is once again mellow and somewhat humble. Jada Parker sitting with blackout coffee drinker Thea Hale, who comes over, and basically now they're best friends, and Natty's upset with Thea Hale. So because of that, Natty set up a tag team match between Thea Hale and Jada Parker, who, of course, Thea Hale threw the towel in, simulating a Natty corner surrender last week, which still doesn't make any sense to me. And they're having a tag match with, of course, Natty, right? Wrong, with Carmen and Nikita. So, okay. But anyway, Thea's like, "Girl, I got you, and you've been nice to me." And Jada's like, "Oh, you're the most trustworthy person in this locker room," which actually might be true. I mean,
not if you're Cora Jade.
Well, I guess. But I mean, she did stick with Chase U all that time. Even when she tried to experiment with a heel turn, I mean, she dressed like JC Jane. She tried to be like JC Jane. I don't know. She's a young kid, just going through her phases, and I guess now her phase is she wants to hang out with Jada Parker. But so we got a tag match next week with Natty, not in the match.
It's why I'm laughing. I laughed as soon as that promo was over. That I believe they went to a commercial when they did. It was weird. They did the intro for Cam Hendrix, right? And then the last thing you saw him like this, and then they went to the commercial, and then they went to the backstage, and he was still with the stupid pose. I'm like, what the hell?
Well, he was hopping around. He was doing the four wins. He was going in the rotation, and Booker kept calling it the Heisman, and Vic Joseph's like, "That's not the Heisman," and he's like, "It is now. Cam Hendrix is a game changer, and that's the new Heisman now. That's just the way it is." I'm like, I love Booker, even when he's wrong, he's right. Love it.
Imagine being because trust me, when they I've been there plenty of times in the arena when they do that long break. They don't stand there like that. Just I'm just being funny, but they go around and they start either engaging with the crowd, pictures, and all whatever the case is. A little peek behind the curtain there. But yeah, I was laughing. I was like, man, imagine if you had to stand there. If you don't really know the ins and outs of NXT, you think he's standing there going around in circles. Like by the time the match starts, he's dizzy.
Yeah, well, that might explain it. I mean, he was tired out. He was all plumb tuckered out. So they're giving this the big match feel like it's the main event, even though it's sort of more towards the beginning of the card.
It's the crossover match, the crossover hour from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. That's why I made it make the big deal.
And I'm seeing Cam Hendrix, who's every bit 6'4", 250 pounds, and then I see Myles Borne, who's like half a foot shorter than him. They announced him at 220. There is not a 30-pound difference between these men. There's at least a 50, if not 60-pound difference between these men. And I'm seeing somebody who has charisma, who can speak on the mic, who looks like a star, and I'm seeing a vanilla midget. So to prove Grayson Waller right, they have the vanilla midget go over and retain his title. nevertheless, this was basically a very good match. Wasn't happy with then, but there was a point where it started out good, where Cam Hendrix got some offense, got Mason. I'm sorry, not Mason. Myles on the mat, face down. Cam Hendrix, went out on top of him prone and was, beating the back of his head and whatnot. And those blows were terrible. His double hammer blow, his forearms, terrible. He needs to work on those or never do that again. But that was not good. He should have kicked them, done drop elbows, whatever it was. But I like the idea, but the execution was terrible. It was in slow motion. Around this time, we saw Mason Rook leave the locker room and Tavion Heights trying to stop him. It took a really long time between them showing that on like the picture-in-picture before Mason Rook got out there. Now, I assume they stopped the catering for a good 7-8 minutes. Yeah,
tomorrow's National Wings Day, so I'm pretty sure they have wings and catering.
Oh yeah, definitely. The salt and pepper chicken, as Grayson
or the check, or what you call it, the KFC poppers that the popcorn chicken. He probably had a couple of buckets.
They were all over that popcorn. Yeah, they had enough time to take bathroom breaks. Hey, I'm going to run to the ring, but do you mind if I go to the men's room first? No, I'm going to attack you, but yeah,
he needs a do wipe, a courtesy do wipe before going out there.
Absolutely, they could have used some blackout coffee or at least some G Fuel as well to pop out a little bit more energy on this one. But yeah, I mean, Mason does come out and Tavion tries to stop him, and he basically does. I mean, a little bit of a distraction, not really, but Myles Borne hits the Borne again and beats Cam Hendrix with his finisher in what was sort of heartbreaking to me and sort of uneventful. But I mean, I guess that's what you got to do to advance the story. And Cam's the new guy, so it's okay if he loses. But again, I see a potential star and I see a future endeavored, and it upsets me.
You think Cam is going to get future endeavored?
I think Myles is going to be future endeavored.
I want to talk about the Cam Hendrix. When you're talking about those moves that looked slow or looked methodic, wasn't crisp. That's why he's getting these television match. There's a lot of potential in him. I personally, I would have kept him as Anthony Luke. I thought the name was much more stronger than Cam Hendrix. Like, what the hell is a Cam Hendrix?
What's his real name?
I thought it was Anthony Luke.
Yeah, his real name is Anthony Luke. So I guess
that's why I would have loved them to keep Anthony Luke. It just screamed. When the few times I tapped out in season 2 or 3 of LFG, so I don't want to get off course. But in LFG, when we first came on the scene, me and my wife used to watch it a lot. And he goes, that guy sounds like, that name sounds like a superstar, Anthony Luke. I'm like, damn, you're right. So, but I still think that my point is him going through that match. He's gonna have the coaches tomorrow in film session. They'll go over that, and hopefully they fine tune where you should have, like you mentioned, you should have done this. It looked it on camera on television like so and so, and that's what this developmental is right now. I'm glad they didn't put the title on him yet, and he's gonna need that signature moment where we're gonna go, damn, he arrived. Out of all the LFG guys currently, besides Shiloh Hill, which he has made me he has proven me so wrong that he actually is a stronger. He was worthy of that. None of the other ones I've really hit home. Jasper Troy's not even on television. And we thought I thought Anthony Luke was stronger. I'm gonna still keep him calling him Anthony Luke or Cam Hendrix was stronger than Jasper Troy in my opinion and seasons earlier. So I'm glad that he's getting the television time and showing that there's a much more high ceiling potential, which is good for him. When he gets that moment, titles, the North American title and titles are gonna get there. One thing that still bothers me, and it's because damn LFG and damn Bubba Ray Dudley. He still reminds me that he wants to cosplay as The Rock in the ring. That's just a little bit that bothers me, just a little bit, which I don't care because I am a big Rock guy. I like The Rock, but still, he's just gotta find that niche, or maybe it's a stereotype that unfortunately he got put on him from LFG.
Could be. I mean, but I think what was proven is that he's not quite ready to hold the title and
Yes.
carry
agree.
that part of the franchise. So I definitely agree with you on that.
Timing. It's timing with him. More reps and timing for Cam Hendrix.
Yeah. Post-match, Cam Hendrix and Mason Rook sort of brawl off to the side. The Vanity Project come out to do the beatdown on Myles Borne, but Tavion Heights comes out, and basically the two of them handle all three members of the Vanity Project. No problem. Michael Lockwood did not get involved. Keanu Carver wasn't involved, so nothing like that. So they didn't completely overbook it, just a little bit. But the two guys beat three guys, which I guess tells us that there's no way that they're going to win the championships next week. And I guess this Borne Heights Schism redo will replay itself. We'll start again next week, which I'm okay with if they handle Tavion correctly.
I can see they're not going to win the tag team titles when Tavion and Myles Borne. And I think it's going to lead to a one-on-one match where Jackson Drake versus Myles Borne, and this is where Tavion turns his back on Myles, and we get a new champion crown. Maybe at Heatwave, we'll get him. They'll have a new North American champion in Jackson Drake. I think he wins the North American title because I think that's what all of this is going to lead to that. And then again, you're going to have Myles and Tavion still go at it in their feud after Heatwave and all that stuff. That's the way I could see it.
I could see that too. I mean, they love Jackson Drake, and for good reason. He can speak. He's I got
to give him credit.
He's young. Give him credit. Yeah. He's a little thin, but he can really move. He can really wrestle, and he moves really, really well. He's like one of those 4 or 5 guys in the company that just moves crisp and clean like a cat. All right, so that's good. We then see Emily Agar with Lizzy Rain, and basically it's a commercial for KFC popcorn chicken. Tristan Angels comes out and he's like, Lizzy, why are you looking up to Shiloh Hill? He's disgusting. You should look up to me. I don't like your taste in heroes. And she's like, piss off. I'm eating chicken. Leave me alone. And well, he kind of pisses off. So, that was that. I mean, other than this being a segment for KFC and reminding us of the Tristan Shiloh match, I would call this segment empty calories.
Well, if you're a little kid, you could say, look, she shares her popcorn chicken. She was sharing the popcorn chicken.
Right. And I got to see Emily Agar, so that's a win.
Yeah. And didn't you wish you were the one giving Emily Agar the popcorn chicken?
Yeah. I still see Meadow Soprano when I see her.
She does look like her. She does like Meadow.
Just if she grew up to be like super hot. So
you know what? Good observation there. Look at that.
Thank you. Okay. We next see, so what I think is one of the more interesting stories in all of wrestling is O.T.M, and they're in the back getting ready for their match they demand against BirthRight, but the camera pans out of it, and Los Garzas are there wearing their Los Perros del Mal t-shirts. Now, Primo's not. He's Nima, Bronco. I always call him Primo. Bronco Nima is not. He's in his usual O.T.M sort of tank top V-neck thing that he wears. But the point is that the Garzas is there because when you're with the Perros, we watch your back wherever you are. And Lucien Price he's like, I don't know about this. You could see in his face, and Bronco's like, great, we got backup. Isn't this exciting, Lucien? And Lucien's like, I didn't ask for any of this. No, his face is just like, I'm not plussed by this. I'm annoyed. I don't like this. I don't know. He was not happy, and he shouldn't be happy about it necessarily. Though, they're going against BirthRight, so the numbers you'd think would be all right. But I'm cool. This is interesting. This was interesting. I like seeing Los Garzas on there. Yeah, it's cool. This is an interesting. I don't remember this in wrestling where you've ever had somebody on 2 brands in 2 different groups, and there's sort of tension about that. I just feel like they're speeding up a little bit too quickly. I would like it to slow burn a little bit longer, but maybe it will. What do I know? In any event, we then cut back to Robert Stone's office where Zarya is coming in, and everybody wants to talk to him about their next challenger, which is great. But should the GM sort of be on top of these things and be affirmatively working to get these titles defended and working to get contenders? Like, why is he so reactionary?
Stone ain't no matchmaker. Holy shit. He don't him. You got a pay-per-view coming up. He's the worst. At least Ava will give you something like, oh, you know, she was doing it. But this guy is like, he doesn't, like, my goodness. And speaking of the Perro de Mal showing up on AAA, I was told from sources that Dominic Mysterio wasn't NXT on the camera, on non-camera side, taking in the matches too. He was off camera but sitting in the arena observing some of these matches too. So that was cool to hear about that. A little bit of an insight from Dirty Dom. And of course, seeing the Garzas and NXT, you got to also start promoting at the AAA because they're going to have the Worlds Collide coming up. At least planting the seeds so it won't be like, oh, you know, it doesn't feel, you know, out of left field. And then with the Robert Stone, yeah, he's a terrible matchmaker. He doesn't know how to make matches or creative or come up with it. It's just like, okay, he just sees Zarya in the office. We saw Ren come in, and then go ahead. What I'm still puzzled when that happened. When
you mentioned AAA and Paris de Mal. Listen, everyone out there, do yourself a favor. Even if you don't like AAA, just go to the end and go to like the last 7 minutes and wait for Carmen Petrovic to come out and just just feast your eyes. Good God.
And she's also in another fashion group because she's part of Natalia's group and she's part of Perro de Mal.
Yeah, but it's a whole different person down there. It's just a whole different person. It is amazing. That woman has abs. It's just crazy how.
No, I saw. She's beautiful in person. I saw her date. I was in the Orlando house show when she did her in-ring debut.
Well, she's beautiful on TV too. I'm just saying, like,
no, she's
But like when I see her there, it's like gulp. I feel like Scooby. Row. Anyway, yeah. Ren Sinclair walks in after, and she's like, "Oh, I'm glad you're here because I want to talk about defending my speed title." And Zarya's like, "My title's more important. Plus, you need a tournament." Like Stone's like, "It's true. I need to set up a whole tournament." And no, you don't. You can just make a match. You're a GM. So Ren is like, "Well, Zarya, I can challenge you. I can be Ren 2 titles." And the strange thing is, like, Zarya's like, "Well, if I beat you, I can be Zarya 2 titles. What if I beat you within 5 minutes? Do I get to?" Nope, none of that. But we don't. We get this extra step where Stone is like, "Well, you know what? I like the stipulation last week, except not like the stipulation last week because it's not contingent. It's just an eliminator match. Ren, if you beat Zarya in a non-title match, you will get a future North American Championship match, you know, at someday, someplace, not to be determined necessarily anytime soon." And Ren's like, "Oh yeah, that sounds great." And I guess Stone is also planning to populate a women's speed tournament, but he sort of lost that thread as well. So Stone, you are stoned. I mean, you've been hanging out with Riddle. Now you're down there in Orlando. I mean, what you got kids, man. Get it together.
I'm trying to look this up, but I think it's for the speed title.
I don't think that it is for the speed title. I think it's only if Ren beats Zarya will she get an opportunity to face her for that North American Women's Championship sometime in the future. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, usually in wrestling, they repeat things 2 or 3 times so that you can't miss it. I mean, I think the notion of Ren Sinclair getting a surprise win over Zarya to get a title chance is sort of wasted time anyway. And, you know, maybe the swerve is that Zarya actually just beats her as she should. But, you know.
No, it's for the title. It's for the title. I have it on the NXT
title.
Yep, NXT Women's Championship match.
Well, what championship?
The speed.
Are you sure? Because the NXT Women's Championship match is NXT Underground that's coming up.
No, the speed title match. NXT, it's a WWE Speed Women's Championship match between Ren Sinclair and Zarya. They got the graphic.
So Zarya could be Zarya 2 belts, even though she didn't mention. So
Yes.
it's a speed match. So
it's a speed title match. But if Ren doesn't win, I believe if Ren wins, she gets to take a shot at the North American title fight. It's a tit for tat.
Right, but if she doesn't, she doesn't. But I assume then Zarya has to beat her within 5 minutes to get that speed.
Right. If not, it's a draw and the champion retains. And I don't know what that means if she gets an opportunity to wrestle her for that title. To me, it feels like Zarya is going to lose. Ren is going to get the upset victory, and then she'll lose the North American title matchup.
Well, I assume somebody's going to cost her the match. But
it could be. Could be.
I mean, I have no interest in seeing Zarya 2 belts and really Zarya against Ren Sinclair. I'm sure it'll be a perfectly fine match. Right? I like Ren Sinclair. I like her personality. I think that she adds to any character group that she's with. I just don't. This just seems like a little bit of a silly angle when you don't need to make silly angles when you do have an extraordinarily deep women's roster, and you could actually.
I agree.
Yeah, and you can make perfectly good matches against Zarya with people who don't have to. I mean, you can put her against Thea Hale. She doesn't win, so what? She's 23. I mean, there's a million people there. Maybe Natty demands it, and Natty loses left and right. So what's the difference? I mean, but other people. Callie Armstrong depends, but just like Cam Hendrix, she's just not ready just yet. Well, whatever it is, I'm sure there's a million people I'm forgetting. I know Layla Diggs is hurt, so it wouldn't be her. I mean, Izzy Dame keeps losing, so she shouldn't be in contention. But anyway, we could go up and down the roster.
Don't forget Tatum Paxley.
Well, I'm not sure if she's there anymore, to be frank. But Ariana Grace, she stands around and does things. She can have matches every now and then. Anyway, point is made. So we get to BirthRight versus O.T.M. This is where, at some point, in Grayson Waller's promo, he was talking about how everybody was a reality star, and Vic and Booker got to talking about how both of their wives were in pageants, and the pageants aren't fixed. And Booker's like, I don't know what your wife told you, but Charmel told me those things are plenty fixed. And Booker's like, it's true. There's a lot of reality stars here, not wrestlers. And I'm like, wasn't Grayson Waller discovered on like Australian Survivor or Big Brother or something?
Yeah.
So,
yes.
I mean, I'm sure it was a cell phone. I'm sure that was on purpose. But I mean, and like Booker has been a judge, coach on all 3 seasons of LFG. So he too is coaching some of these self-same reality TV stars that are here. I don't remember if he was ever on Tough Enough. I don't know if he was on that Generation Next show.
I don't remember either.
But I don't know. Like, a bunch of people in glass houses that shouldn't be throwing stones necessarily. But as long as they throw stones at Robert Stone, I'm okay with it. So moving on, basically the match devolves a little bit. Obviously the BirthRight has the numbers, but they don't really get that involved. They just sort of walk around like they're going to. And at some point towards the end, Los Perros del Mals, really just Los Garzas, come out. They don't do anything. They just walk slowly towards it. And Lexus King and Charlie Dempsey sort of walk towards them, but like there's no shoves exchanged or whatever. And Bronco Nima, who was thrown out of the ring, goes to like break them up and being like, hey, I don't need you here. You don't need to get involved. Which is silly for a few reasons. 1, you're outnumbered. 2, they already told you that they were going to be here. It's not like they're there by surprise. You saw them 20 minutes ago. But during this distraction, allowed BirthRight to double team Lucien Price, who was alone, and Lucien ate the pin, and Bronco Nima got in there, a second and a half too late, basically. And Lucien Price, not happy about that, nor should he be. Los Garzas look pretty pleased about it because obviously they're tired of their guy doing double duty because they want him to be committed to their cause. because he's an absolute wrecking ball monster down there in AAA. And everything they wish Damian Priest would have been before Damian Priest went completely corporate, which is weird. How WWE wants you to be someone that you were, then they change you into something that you're not, and then they wonder why no one's interested in the characters because they all talk and act the same. But
yeah, I understand on that one. Yeah.
I digress. All right. So, but anyway, this was good. That they were all four of them are standing in the ring, and it's a little awkward as it's supposed to be. And then Lucien Price with the stink eye, Bronco Nima sort of trying to be peacemaker. We're still cool, right? A very unenthusiastic, handshake between the two partners. During the course of the show, I sort of skipped over. Lola Vice did a promo about how she's the greatest and she's going to get her championship back, and NXT Underground, that's her place, and crossover star, and she did everything there was to do, and she did the AAA thing and all that. And now we see the Kendall Gray part of it, where she talks about all of her stuff overcoming, and she introduces us to her father, who's like her coach and trainer, and also brought in Julius Creed, who's training with her as well, which was the most interesting thing, because I haven't seen Julius Creed in forever and a day. So that was kind of neat. And Julius Creed speaking very highly about Kendall, how she's a winner, and apparently Julius Creed is the one who brought Kendall Gray into NXT. Is there a backstory there that we should know about?
She recruited or recommended. There's this young lady who's amateur wrestler. I don't know the full backstory on it, but I believe yes, Julius had something to do with it. Good to see him on TV. Last time we saw him was part of the Americanos when they were under a mask for Gable.
What are you talking about?
When they were part of the American Made.
No, those are different people.
Those are Bruto.
That's Julio. That was Julio and Bruto. Entirely different people. I don't understand. I think they were just with Grayson Waller. Then back to the ladies' locker room, where we see Callie Armstrong being like, "God damn, why aren't I getting these shots? This should be me. I'm too strong, should be up there." But before she can really finish her thought, she gets joined by Izzy Dame, who, despite losing again, thinks she should be in the mix. She's like, "Callie, you just got here. I should be getting the shot." And before Callie has a chance to point out that Izzy keeps losing matches and has plenty of shots and all that, then Kalani Jordan walks in, and basically with a abridged version of the same speech that Shane gave before. And from behind them, Reina Volcan walks in and goes, "The NXT women's division doesn't rebuild, it reloads." And then she just strolls on out.
Okay.
So, yeah, I guess shots fired. Is this going to be a fatal four-way, you think? Is this going to be like a contenders match for the North American Championship or the World Championship, which I'd be fine with, except that Izzy Dane shouldn't be in it because she just lost. Like Lizzy Rain maybe should be the fourth person in that. Now, Lizzy, when she was talking to Emily Agar, did point out the only thing probably of substance there is she said, "I'm going to keep my eye on that NXT Underground match." So
she did say that.
Yeah, so she's clearly targeting the NXT women's title, which is fine. That's good. I mean, I don't expect her to win it, but she's new, and that's fine, and that's cool. So I'm guessing these four will be in some sort of number one contenders match, maybe for Heatwave or maybe before that for the Women's North American Championship. Even if Ren wins, she does get a North American title opportunity sometime in the future. Possibly she'll be pissed that she's not involved in Heatwave and it becomes a triple threat. I mean, we know that wrestling loves to book that kind of thing, but we're getting way ahead of ourselves with a lot of ifs and not necessarily whens. But I mean, people listen to podcasts not to hear a little fantasy booking or prognosticating and see who's got at least good ideas and or maybe is on the same page as the booking committee.
Well, we got a couple of weeks for them to start building for Heatwave. It's not like it's around the corner. So there's still there's still time for them to tell their stories, to book, to lead us in the direction, especially after the next Tuesday, August 4th. Because it looks like that's going to, after the underground. After that, I think they'll starting the picture clear of the road to Heatwave starts getting mapped out. So we'll get more next Tuesday. I think it's going to be more of the build towards that.
Right, and if you all think that they're starting to build a little bit early for a month away show, I fully expect there to be some more AAA appearances on NXT, because remember, they're doing their special PLE events the same night, back to back. I think it's in the same building. I think it's on the same. I think they're both on CW, though. I'm not 100% sure about whether AAA is on CW or if it's on YouTube and then you switch to CW. But anyway, they're both opposite. Is it All In? Are they opposite All In?
I don't remember. I don't recall. I don't. Probably. You're probably correct. It's probably yeah. Probably.
Yeah. I know they're opposite an AEW event. I think the only one coming up is
that's his is All In. Yeah, the Wembley show over there.
I do want to give a shout out to AEW. I don't watch AEW, but I know that they're doing a fundraising show dedicated to Rebel and to raise funds for ALS. I do know someone who passed at ALS. It's a tragic disease. Obviously, it's called Lou Gehrig's disease because that's what he died from. As far as I know, there is no cure, and so working towards a cure, and so any attention it gets and any money that it gets, and certainly Tony Khan is good for donating money, and I'm sure whatever you think Chris Jericho, he's always good for donation as well. So, so that's a good thing they're doing.
It's a good spirit of event, good cause.
Absolutely. Shiloh Hill versus Tristan Angels. I am a little bit surprised that nobody took the time, especially Tristan, because Shiloh's thing is, the fog is coming, and Tristan Angels should go, I'm British. You expect me to be afraid of the fog? I was born in fog. I mean, something like that. England is all foggy. I mean, beware the moors. There's werewolves and druids and bogs and fogs, and frogs. Oh my! But they didn't. So missed opportunity. Anyway, very good match. Tristan being sneaky and heely. Shiloh keeping up pretty well. No interference, no distractions, no Tatum, no Lizzy, no nothing. Tristan tries to basically end Shiloh's career by setting up the steps, removing the top step standard, and putting Shiloh's head on that, and he's going to do his version of the curb stomp, which is basically with his knee but Shiloh moves, and so Tristan is on basically one leg, and Shiloh takes advantage of that, gets some offense in, and he does his Thunderbreaker move, but he actually goes up to the second or third rope to do it. So he does like a super Thunderbreaker. It's almost like a super Cody Cutter, but he's holding the person horizontally, and he sort of twists them in the air, from face down to face up, so they land on their back and neck. It's actually much more effective looking from the rope, and I think Tristan is working with Shiloh, and I think they're running this back because I actually think Tristan's the better wrestler, and he helps make Shiloh look good. So, and he did, and Shiloh got the win. He wins again against Tristan, so now it's time for them both to move on to other things. Kit Wilson being sent down to NXT to be with Tristan makes a lot of sense. I have no idea what the status of Elton Prince is, how close he is to, being back. And I know one of them is married to Kelly Kincaid, who was recently non-renewed or was released. So,
that's Elton. Elton Prince is the one that's married to Kelly Kincaid, the blonde one.
Yeah, I did notice that lately the Miz and Kit have not been electrocuted sort of zombies in the Danhausen army. So, some of that might be ending as well. Though for all I know, might just be because the Miz is filming another season of American Gladiators or doing
that's
something.
Going to be.
Yeah. Okay. So you always know the backstory. All right. Shiloh Hill with a win. Good. We then hear what we've been waiting for, what I think both you and I expected to open the show, and that is Cruz Montana coming to the ring to deliver a speech. Now, this is your guy. So
Yes.
I want
First and foremost,
Yeah.
when I hear the introduction theme song, I was like, oh. I'm used to Born Nasty. I'm used to his theme song from. I knew they were, and then they give him that. I'm like, I had no. I'm not saying the theme song is terrible. I'm not. I got to give it time. I got to hear it again. But when the Born Nasty, like, But I love the fact that he still came out to the crowd. He still came out the old-fashioned way, the way he used to do in TNA. He came out. I love his speech. He gave credit and gave a lot of props to TNA believing in him. So there was a lot of nice out of tipping the cap to TNA wrestling from the Knockouts title with Kalani earlier and of course with Cruz talking about that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. Let's go. I was waiting. We was waiting for the interruption. And when he calls, he calls out Waller, and then I get freaking Tony D'Angelo. I was like, I didn't ask for you. He is addressing Waller. So I was like, I don't know.
Addressing Waller, but he also was talking about the NXT title. So it was all a little bit. Actually, I had like a really silly joke, but I have to say it because I have to say it. I would have loved if his WWE name was like Kingston Ortiz.
Oh, get the hell out of here. I hear Chris. I can hear Chris screaming right now.
Good. I like making people scream. So Tony D comes up and he's like, "Who do you think you are? This is NXT. I'm the champion, and I'm not going anyplace anytime soon." And then Grayson Waller comes in and attacks them both from behind. And Grayson Waller can't throw a punch. He can't hit anyone. He missed everybody. It was terrible. He's standing straight as a board. For a boxer, he has no footwork. This was terrible. The only thing that was good is that as they're scrapping, Montana goes to attack Waller and he ducks, and so Montana ends up hitting Tony D, by accident maybe, but I mean he's acting like he's so upset about it, which is weird because Cruz is like, "I want your title," and Tony D's like, "Come and get my title," and they're like, "Do something." "No, you don't do something." "No, you do something." "No, I'm going to beat you up." "No, I'm going to beat you up," and neither one of them was making a move. So I mean, you figure at some point, so they were prepared to throw down, not just talk it out and resolve it over a nice game of chess. But anyway, Cruz Santana looking upset that he took out Tony D, but he took out Tony D for about a second and a half because Tony D pops right back up, barely an inconvenience, and that's it. Waller
for the closing shot. Let me ask this. Yeah. Let me ask this question. Do you see Cruz Montana taking the title at Heatwave already, or would it be too soon? Because the reason why I say that, because All Ego Ethan Page won the title rapidly as soon as he got into the company. There was no that was so quick. Do they pull the trigger to go in the Cruz Montana reign in TNA already, or NXT?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that for sure. I wouldn't put money on it, but yeah, I think that Tony D, for better or worse, it's time to move him up. I think Grayson Waller has established himself as sort of their new Ethan Page, who's going to be sort of around, the title, whether he deserves it or not. And then there's other people involved in the mix out there too. So, Shiloh can make a case for himself, I'm sure, amongst others. I'm not as sour on the NXT men's roster as some are. But yeah, I could see it. I don't think Cruz Montana, formerly known as Mike Santana, is going to spend a lot of time in NXT. I mean, that might be a year, but I think he's going to spend. He'll probably spend a Ricky Saints amount of time, maybe not quite the Ethan Page amount of time, but it might be less than a year. And I wouldn't be surprised if he was at least in the Royal Rumble, so that there's some more introduction, on the main roster.
I could see that.
I mean, they've elevated a bunch of people who have been misses. Now, whether you think it's creative or it's, my personal, I think the number one suspect in the problem with the big two wrestling promotions is that they have pay-per-views or PLEs every 30 days. So and they haven't adjusted themselves to be able to tell long form stories, but book for 30-day PLEs events. But whatever it is, Ricky Saints sort of a dud, Ilya Dragunov sort of a dud, Carmelo Hayes sort of a dud, a lot of people sort of duds. Joe Hendry sort of a dud. Rusev coming back.
Yesterday didn't help him. Oof.
Yeah. A lot of things, I don't watch Raw and I watch SmackDown at an extremely liberal, fast forward pace. So maybe there's things I'm missing. Certainly this is uncreative because they have who are supposed to be face Bloodline guys going against who's supposed to be face LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, and Royce Keys, and nobody knows who to root for or boo for. So, Royce Keys is sort of embroiled in that, and there's good and bad of that, but the crowd doesn't know how to react to people, and that's part of it. Jordan Grace too, but I see that, Tony. But I'm talking specifically about the men's roster right now. But you're right, the women too. I mean, one of my favorites, Kiana James, sort of a dud. Julia, complete dud. I know Blake Monroe's barely started, but Blake Monroe's barely started, and I know we all think she's going to be okay, but who knows? And where's Stephanie Vaquer been? I know that she was hurt, but I don't think anyone thought she was going to be hurt for a year. In any event, the point being, I think that they probably could use a man like Mike Santana, up there to add a little excitement. Damian Priest, been a dud for a while. So we'll see. Tony D, I think, is a nice ensemble player, like a Baron Corbin, but I don't think anyone tunes in for him or cheers for him, I don't think
he'll get lost.
Which is fine.
He'll get lost in the main roster.
It's fine as long as he's on TV, and if he loses 80% of his matches but wins 20% of them, it just matters which the 20% are, or how he loses, or who he's associated with, or whatever the case might be. But I'm totally fine for people from NXT who don't have star written all over them to mostly do the job for their first year. Like, they're new in the territory, and then something changes with their character or who they're paired with, so that they enjoy a little bit of success and maybe get a rub, from someone else. Like back in the day, you put someone with AJ Styles or whatever, and they get a tag team championship for what that was worth, or they win in a surprise open challenge for the U.S. title or whatever. In any event, but this show, I nitpick. That's what I do. But this episode of NXT was much better than last week's episode.
Oh, yeah.
It flew by, very enjoyable, good show flow. And, you're always going to get nitpicking from me, but but last week, I have to be honest, I didn't really enjoy NXT. This week, I absolutely enjoyed NXT. And I like nitpicking. Wrestling isn't supposed to be so smart, but it's not, but it shouldn't be so dumb either. And I think sometimes they go a little bit crazy on the dumb. Then again, here's me missing stipulations, and I need them to repeat them to me 3 times. Who's the dumb one now? Yeah, me, this guy right here, 2 thumbs, this head.
What I did appreciate, at least when they close the show with the segment, sometimes when they do the match at the end, I get a little anxiety because I'm looking at the clock. Because again, I say this every time I do any type of NXT reviews or watch-alongs. I'm like, I never want to see a match never get the conclusion, and because they have to go off the air for their CW affiliates. That's all, and that's the one thing that worries me. It drives me bonkers because you get to you're like, you might miss something, you might not see there. I think they have missed up twice in their whole existence. They're 2 or the 3rd year on the CW that they have. That's the only thing I appreciate. They closed out with that segment at the end with the talking and the confrontation with the spin the block on Tony D'Angelo, sets up the storyline for next week. What's going to, how is Grayson Waller? Does Mike Santana get his hands on Waller? Does he get or Tony D'Angelo? What's to come about it? Does Stone set up a number 1 contenders match? Who else wants to be part of it? It leaves for weeks of matches and build up for Heat Wave. Does Mike get a warm-up match? Is it going to be Waller? Is it going to be someone else who disrespects him in the back? We'll find out. All in all, this to me, NXT tonight got back to the right pace, where now we're in, now not just the women's division is getting stronger, amplified. Now is the men's. Wait until, with the possible rumors of Richard Holiday, if he does show up to NXT, adds another male to the whole
He's such a troll. He tweeted today, Tuesday's such a glorious day for wrestling. Tuesday is great. Tuesday wrestling is supreme. Something like that he tweeted. He's such a troll.
Yeah, the name change was to honor his father. That's just typical Tony WWE trope. That they just wanted, they can't give you the name, which I'm going to talk about that on Saturday a little more with the guys, or if we have a chance, because it's going to probably be a SummerSlam review. But the name changes. Why? Because Sean Spears had no problem keeping Sean Spears' name, and because he was Ty Dillinger before, they could have just brought him in as Ty, but he's now Sean Spears. The same thing with Jordan Grace, came over from NXT. Joe Henry came from NXT, kept his name from TNA. The same goes with All Ego Ethan Page. He came in and he's I know they did Blake Monroe, the whole change name from Mariah May. Okay, and but we'll talk. I'll get into that with more depth and more conversation with that. And everybody knew. And the thing is, what kills me is last week he came out with Born Nasty with his introduction theme, and then you changed it as nasty, terrible, deaf rebel nonsense. But that's just me. But all in all, it doesn't mean that I didn't like NXT. NXT was very good, very, very, very easy to watch, quick pace. It wasn't like, oh, when is this gonna end? The 2 hours went really, really quick, and it was fun. That's what NXT is about. I loved it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Stone, you got to get back to those first few when you were interim. When you were interim, you were feeling the heat. You were doing now you're just
complacent.
You're letting the wrestlers dictate things to you, and you're not riding. You're not surfing the chaos or creating the chaos. You got to create the chaos, my friend, again. Or NXT Anonymous is going to come looking for you, and and don't think that I'm not rooting for Stevie Turner to Tanya Hardy and Jeff Gillooly you out of there.
And that's a good one. Ricky Saints, Jordan Grace, and Javon could have stayed an extra couple weeks, or like Shawn Michaels wanted Javon to stay extra 6 to 8 months in the NXT, and they told him no. And look, Javon is not. It's not that. He's not. I mean, I could see him upper mid card at the moment. If he would have stood there and gotten some momentum, maybe he might have been a main lane player. But it's just he's still young, but still you don't want him to. He's super young.
He's also very, very thin, but I think Javon Evans is someone that if you're going to a show and you're thinking about buying a ticket, he's somebody that you're going to buy a ticket to see live.
I agree.
So I think, and I don't think there's anything more he could have learned at NXT. I mean, sure, NXT could have put a title on him, but I mean, going to the main roster is, sorry, wrestling fans, is a bigger deal than getting a title on NXT.
I disagree to a degree. Here's the reason why I disagree for a moment. If you put the world title on the the wrestler, I want them to learn how to handle the responsibility as champion, going and doing media, going on different shows, going on podcasts that WWE schedules you to go, having that schedule, because I give you an insight. One of the former NXT champions, 2-time NXT champions, his first time around, he didn't know how to handle it. It was a little too overbearing. It was too much for him. And this is from Confidant. This is confidential. And I'm spilling the beans a little bit here. That it was a little too much for him. Then they took the title off him and gave him a little break. They got the title back on him. He learned how to conduct himself so strong, so well, where all the responsibilities of now, he learned from his first title reigns how to now become a second champion, 2-time champion, where now he knew how to schedule himself and pace himself, dealing with not just being a champion and closing out the main event. You have so much other responsibilities. It's a good position to put these wrestlers in. When they do get to the main roster, they already know how to schedule themselves and get into good habits, championship habits, doing media, conducting themselves, not just also when the cameras are not on them, they know how to conduct themselves also outside. So there is no public embarrassment. So sometimes the world title picture is not, it's a good thing, and is also makes them prepare themselves to to get to the main roster next level, and if it makes sense.
Well, NXT and WWE, if you want your talent to be tested with media and having conversations that aren't necessarily related to or relegated just to wrestling, then to find out what makes them tick and then what things they like their outside wrestling in a safe and interesting environment, they should come here and talk to me and my best friend, Mr. Thomas, who is an insider and isn't going to bury any young guy. He's going to help them along. And, it's been good fortune for a lot of the wrestlers who have been on the show. So not for Mr. Thomas, though, but, stupid MLW, big dummies. I hate you. I love you.
Or they could step out of character and have conversation with us and see what they want to talk about. Or they could give us their thoughts on step into the garden of thoughts. You never know where, you can always have that conversation.
That's right. Yeah, listen, if you're a wrestler and you're in wrestling and you have like some interest that are, you love a particular movie, a particular property, you love a type of mythology, whatever, history, whatever it is. Yeah, my DMs are always open. I'm there's between Garden of Thought and Out of Character and all the offerings in this universe, we'll find something that works and we can get to know you.
And my final thing, where in the world is Luke Menzies?
Where is Luke Menzies? Seriously, I give you one job, and that is to become. Actually, I've given you like 100 jobs, but the one job was to become Luke Menzies' best friend, and I'm not sure that you're his best friend.
He's tearing up the independent scene in the across the pond in the English circuit.
Well, that all sounds good, and I think that's fantastic. I just want to hear him chumming it up with you like your mates and lads, and talking about that. While he's doing it, not necessarily all in hindsight, because he might forget things. He might have a great story about something that happened last night, but then something great is going to happen in 2 days, and in 4 days he's going to have more great stories. And it's hard to prioritize these great stories when you're trying to do a 2.5 month recap as opposed to cover things week to week.
We got to find out, and we send out the APA to put him in the back. I put his picture in the back of a milk cart. We'll see.
Do they drink milk in England? Maybe we should ask Tristan Angels. Maybe
Well, he'll give you sheep. He'll give you sheep milk.
Maybe we should get Lizzy Rain to yell it. I mean, there's no way you can't hear her. She's very loud.
She is loud. She's always making it rain.
Yeah. She sure is. She makes it rain. That's for sure. She's the new rainmaker, and the new painmaker. All right. Well, oof. I feel like we've done a pretty good job on this show. I am glad that this is a regular thing. I hope that the audience enjoys it and sticks with us and makes this a regular part of their week.
And we're still giving an update. We're still working on that with Google and YouTube to restore the old YouTube channel, the Sports Jedi Network channel. Right now, it's off. Right now, I can't get access to it. It was hacked. So just trying to get our access back to the Sports Jedi Network channel. But for now, we're here on the Sports Jedi Media, and we'll continue to simulcast if the channel, once the channel gets activated and so forth. So yeah, we're still working on that. We got some good positive stuff. We got some emails finally from Google and all that, and working towards it. So yeah, so just a little bit update. We'll let you know when we get back there. But everyone that's followed and subscribed to our new channel, thank you so much. Appreciate everyone that watches all the different programs. Don't forget on all that tomorrow. We have a Garden of Thoughts tomorrow as well. So Mr. Lippman will be on tomorrow, as well as the Dynamite Bros, of course, and all the different SummerSlam recap and so forth. So appreciate everyone joining us here tonight, man. Thank you so much. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and share. Not just myself, follow at Dos Evo _ on X, and of course Sports Jedi Media and all our different platforms, Sports Jedi Network. So if we have anything else to say, I'm going to run the outro.
Run the outro. Sounds good.
Buenas noches, todo el mundo. Have a good night, man. Remember, it's still real.
It's still real to me, damn it. I mean, thank you.
Take it easy, man.
Thank y'all guys. Y'all are awesome.